16 days ago, the sun went dark on the heart of the lion, and we told you the first watcher would not be the last. This week the promise is kept. The moon herself is eclipsed, all but a sliver of her swallowed, and she goes dark standing on Fomalhaut, the watcher of the south, the star of the deep waters. 2 eclipses, 2 royal stars, 1 season held between 2 watches, and this is the second watch. And somewhere in your chart, this moon is closing one door for good. Stay with us, because by the end of this video, you will know exactly which door and what the space it leaves is for. The ancients set 4 stars to watch the corners of heaven. Regulus in the north of summer, the heart of the lion, and far in the south, alone in a dark stretch of sky where almost nothing else shines, Fomalhaut, the mouth of the fish, drinking the stream the water-bearer pours down. The old astrologers gave this watcher a very particular charge. Fomalhaut, they said, raises those who keep their ideals clean, the dreamers, the artists, the ones who serve something larger than themselves. And it withdraws everything from those who let the ideal curdle into self-service. Same star, same light. The difference is only what you do with it. Hold that thought. The sky is about to test it. Here is what happens. The moon comes to her fullness in the early degrees of Pisces, and instead of rising in silver, she rises into the Earth's shadow. All but a sliver of her face goes dark. A lunar eclipse is a full moon with the release turned all the way up. Whatever a full moon would have finished, an eclipsed one finishes for good. And this moon goes dark less than 1 degree from the watcher's mouth. She is eclipsed in effect on the star itself. The lamp is darkened, and the watcher beneath it does the watching. The moon stands at 4 degrees and 54 minutes of Pisces. The sun faces her from the same degree of Virgo. Write that down, 454, Pisces and Virgo, because at the end of this video we walk it into your own chart, house by house, and that 1 degree is the key to the whole reading. Now, the strange and beautiful part. If you watched our video on the dragon's line, you know the nodes have just crossed into Aquarius and Leo, and because the dragon walks backwards through the zodiac, it enters every sign by the final degree. So at this eclipse, the dragon's head stands at 29 degrees and 50 minutes of Aquarius, the last degree of the sign, the threshold degree, 1 foot over the doorstep of a brand new era, holding the door. And here is what that means. The sun and moon are standing on the old axis, Virgo and Pisces, the same signs the last 2 years of eclipses lived on. But the dragon has already moved to the new one, so this eclipse closes the old book from inside the first page of the new one. 2 years ago, a partial eclipse in Pisces opened this chapter of endings and dissolutions. This eclipse, the same kind, the same sign, is its final sentence. The moon will not be eclipsed in Pisces again for many years. If something in your life began around that first Pisces eclipse 2 years ago, a letting go, a softening, a long goodbye, this week is where it completes. There is one more figure in this chart, and it is the loudest. Uranus, the awakener, the lightning, stands in early Gemini and squares the sun and the moon at the same time to within 1 degree. Both lights, 1 strike. Astrologers call this a T-square, and Uranus is standing at its point. So do not expect this eclipse to whisper. Expect the sudden turn, the message that changes the plan, the truth that arrives sideways midweek through an ordinary conversation. But hear the lightning rightly. Uranus does not strike to punish. Sometimes the sky sends the shock so that you don't have to force the change yourself. The door you had been pushing on for months simply blows open, and your only work is to stop bracing against it. What breaks this week was already broken. What leaves was already leaving. The lightning just makes it honest. And then, hours before the moon is eclipsed, something happens that almost nobody is talking about. Mercury walks into the exact heart of the sun. The old astrologers called it Cazimi, the messenger seated in the throne of the light, the one moment in the cycle when the mind and the source speak with a single voice. A Cazimi on the day of an eclipse means this: somewhere inside all the noise of this week, one sentence gets said that is perfectly, unarguably clear. It may be said to you, it may be said by you. You will know it because everything in you will go quiet when you hear it. That sentence is the instruction. The eclipse is just the weather around it. So what is this eclipse actually asking of us? Look at who governs it. The moon goes dark in Pisces, and the old ruler of Pisces is Jupiter. And Jupiter, right now, stands strong and bright in Leo, in a nearly exact trine to Saturn. The generous heart and the honest builder, working the same line. That tells you the nature of this ending. This is not loss for its own sake. This is a release that answers to a ruler in good condition, an ending underwritten by something solid. What the tide takes this week, it takes because a stronger foundation is already being set. We will meet that trine properly in our next video, because it perfects only days after the eclipse, but know that it is standing behind everything this moon does. And Pisces names what is being released, the oldest sea in the zodiac, compassion, imagination, the dissolving of walls. Its shadow is the same water gone stagnant, the escape that became a habit, the sacrifice nobody asked for, the dream you kept describing instead of living, the role of the one who understands everything and asks for nothing. This eclipse takes the stagnant water out with the tide, not your tenderness, that stays. What goes is the place where your tenderness was being spent on keeping something asleep. And beneath it all, the watcher's old question, quietly, to each of us. The ideal you have been carrying, is it still in service, or has it become a costume? Fomalhaut has never punished anyone for dreaming. It only asks that the dream stay clean, offered, not owned. Where your answer is honest, this eclipse cannot take a single thing from you that you will miss. One more layer, and this one is a century old. In 1925, a clairvoyant named Elsie Wheeler sat with the astrologer Mark Edmund Jones, and in a single extraordinary session she received a vision for every one of the 360 degrees of the zodiac, the Sabian Symbols. Whatever degree the sky touches, there is a picture waiting for it. Here is what she saw for the 2 degrees this eclipse lights up. For the moon's degree, the 5th of Pisces, she saw a church bazaar. Jones gave it the keyword benefit. The little market where no one is trading to get rich, where what changes hands is really warmth, and every small offering feeds something shared. Its shadow, he wrote, is social exclusiveness and smug self-satisfaction. The circle that once served everyone, closed into a club. Hear that against the star underneath this moon. The watcher's test and the symbol's shadow are the same sentence, given 100 years apart in 2 languages that never met. And for the sun's degree, facing it, the 5th of Virgo, a man dreaming of fairies. Keyword, outlook. The vision that visits practical, workaday Virgo and reminds it that the unseen is real. That, as Jones wrote it, the dreams of man are always the foretaste of human achievement. Its shadow, losing all appreciation for what endures. The dream that floats free and builds nothing. Hold the 2 pictures side by side on either end of this eclipse. The dream and the market. The vision and the place it is spent. An eclipse across these 2 degrees darkens whatever has gone wrong in that exchange. The circle that closed, the dream that never landed, and leaves standing the version where they feed each other. That is this eclipse in one breath. What you saw in the quiet was always meant to be brought to the table. Now, your chart. Find where 4 degrees of Pisces falls. Our free calculator is linked below. It marks the exact house. Give this eclipse an orb of about 5 degrees, and if you have a planet in the first days of Pisces, Virgo, or Gemini, this one is speaking directly to you. And remember the axis. Wherever the moon closes an account in one house, The Virgo sun opposite is already keeping the new ledger in the facing one, house by house, briefly and honestly. First house, an old picture of yourself dissolves, a name, a role, a way of being seen. Let it go quietly. What is under it is more you than the picture ever was. Second house, a source of security or self-worth completes. The tide is not emptying your hands, it is freeing them for work that pays in truer coin. Third house, a conversation, a sibling thread, a daily pattern of thought reaches its last page. And listen closely here. The Cazimi sentence very likely arrives through words near you. Fourth house, something in home, family, or the deep past is finished. A chapter of belonging closes so the next address, inner or outer, can open. Fifth house, a creative work, a romance, a season of joy completes its arc. Nothing you made is lost. It is what the next making stands on. Sixth house, a routine, a work pattern, a habit of the body ends. The schedule that quietly ran you hands back the keys. Seventh house, a partnership crosses a threshold. Some bonds complete and dissolve, others shed a false skin and continue truer. Either way, the pretending part ends. Eighth house, something shared, money, intimacy, an old debt of any kind is settled. What was tangled unties, even if the untying stings for a night. Ninth house, a belief, a teacher, a far horizon completes its teaching. You are not losing the faith, you are outgrowing its container. 10th house, a public role or a professional chapter concludes. And notice how much lighter the lamp you carry down is than the one you kept lit for others. 11th house, a circle, a community, a long-held vision of the future completes. The Bazaar's lesson lives here. If the circle closed around itself, the eclipse opens it or ends it. 12th house, the deepest one, an inner pattern, a grief, a weight you have carried alone finally reaches the waterline. This is the house of the sea itself. Let the sea take what it came for. And whichever house is yours, remember the shape of this whole season. A north node eclipse closes a door in front of a bigger one. The dragon's head is standing on the threshold of the new era, holding it open. What ends this week is the toll for what comes next. You are not being emptied, you are being made ready. Days after this eclipse, Jupiter and Saturn, the heart and the builder, meet in an exact trine for the first time since the great conjunction that opened this decade. It is the sky's first progress report on everything that began then, and it lands in the very first days of the new era the dragon just opened. That is our next video, and if this eclipse takes something from you this week, that video is where you will see what the space was for. Subscribe to our channel now, because the eclipse falls this week, the trine perfects days later, and the readings that matter are the ones in your hands before the sky turns. And if you want this eclipse read for your sky alone, not the houses in general, but the one this moon actually lights in your chart, the eclipse edition of our written reading is open now for this moon. Choose it as your moon, and it is composed for your chart, one at a time, in good time. One thing to know, after this full moon, the desk rests briefly and reopens as the next new moon seeds. So if this is your moon, this is the week. And for the sky that started it all, our painted star maps and the written sky, the heavens exactly as they stood at your first breath, painted and read, are below as well. Everything lives in the description. Even a lighthouse goes dark between turns of its lamp. The keepers never feared that moment, because out over the southern water, the watcher holds the light until the beam comes back around. This week, the sky darkens its own lamp. Keep your ideal clean, and nothing that goes dark can touch you. The light returns. It always has. Be ready to carry it.